Right now, pharmaceutical companies around the world are racing to develop a vaccine for coronavirus that can save countless lives and give us the freedom to freely lick park benches once again. But one major vaccine trial has just hit a major snag.
Breaking news overnight, a setback in the race for a coronavirus vaccine. Pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca pausing phase 3 of its global trials because of an unexplained illness in one of its volunteers. The company now has to determine whether its vaccine might cause widespread adverse reactions.
You see? This is why we need vaccine trials in the first place. Because right now, one person in that trial has an unexplained illness, possibly from the prototype vaccine. But you realize if they just release this thing to the public without proper testing, we could all be out in the streets with random diseases and mutations. I mean, on the bright side, maybe some of us would develop that fireproof skin, but still. Now, the scientists still don't know yet whether the illness is related to the vaccine trial or not. But I think I know what happened. I think what happened was coronavirus got to the vaccine and said, look, man, whatever the humans are paying you, I'll pay double. And now we got to find a vaccine for the vaccine. Yeah, I read Facebook. I know what's going on. But let me just say that I'm incredibly grateful for all of these people who are injecting themselves with a vaccine without knowing whether it's safe, because they're doing it for the rest of us. And in a way, I know how this feels. You know, it's the same way my family would make me drink the milk in the fridge to see whether or not it had gone bad. Spoiler alert, it was always bad. But until the vaccines are available, we just have to keep wearing masks and socially distancing as much as we can. Which is why in the UK, they've now decided that it's time for the British to party a little less hard.
As Europe struggles with the surge in new coronavirus cases, the UK tightening restrictions. The government says social gatherings can include no more than 6 people instead of the previous 30 allowed.
In England, from Monday, we're introducing the rule of 6. You must not meet socially in groups of more than 6, and if you do, you will be breaking the law.
Yes, starting Monday in the UK, no more than 6 people can socialize at a time. 6. It's a very specific number. It almost makes me think that Boris Johnson has a 7th friend that he's trying to kick out of the circle of friends. I don't understand, Boris. Why can't I hang out with the gang? Well, you see, there were already 6 of us here, and scientists say that 7 is COVID's favourite number. Well, what if I came early? Then I would just be the 3rd person. Oh, no, you'll always be the 7th person, no matter what time you arrive. But look, these restrictions are better late than never. Because, man, those Brits can party hard. As someone who has spent quarantine binging all of the Great British Bake Off, I'm telling you now, those people are out of control. They put cocaine on everything. Here's what I don't get, though. If they're worried about an outbreak in the UK, why wait until Monday to enforce this rule? Why not just tell people now to stop socializing in big groups? Because I know that if in 4 days I can't hang out with all my friends, well, I'll tell you what I'm doing for the next 3 nights. Everyone tested positive. Now, you might remember, back in February and March, Donald Trump was very confidently saying that the coronavirus was not a big deal and it was basically just like the flu. But since then, we've all learned that that was bullshit. Well, today it's come out that Trump privately knew that it was bullshit.
Stunning breaking news. President Trump, in his own words, making clear he knew about the dire threat of the coronavirus very early on, at a time he repeatedly told the American people they were safe. He deliberately withheld information from the American people, repeatedly concealed details about the gravity of this threat because, in his words, he didn't want to create a panic.
It's a very tricky situation. It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. You know, the touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is 5 per. This is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So this is deadly stuff. I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
You didn't want to create a panic? You didn't want to create a panic? So what did you want? For people to very calmly be dying in the streets? What's wrong, buddy? I'm dying. But it's chill. And also, since when is Donald J. Trump concerned about creating a panic? That is literally his favorite thing. Cities are burning, suburbs are collapsing, caravans of Antifa Mexicans are committing Muslim voter fraud. His campaign slogan is basically, look out behind you. But yes, thanks to audio tapes of interviews Trump did with Bob Woodward back in February and March, we now know that he was fully aware of how the virus was transmitted and how deadly it could be. And yet in public, he told everyone there was no reason to be afraid. And look, I get that as a leader, you don't want people to panic. But you also want to inform the people so that they can be safe. You know, if a plane is crashing, a pilot will tell you to remain calm, but they'll also tell you to fasten your seatbelts and brace for impact. If Trump was a pilot, he'd be like,
attention all passengers, everything's fine. Seatbelts are for snowflakes. And if you want to stretch your legs, now's the perfect time. Bye-bye.
And this is really confusing, because at first, I thought Trump was too stupid to understand what was going on with the virus. But it turns out that he was actually smart about it in private. But he's also stupid enough to tell Bob Woodward on tape. Now I don't know what to think. And Trump aside, am I the only one who thinks it's crazy that people keep releasing books where they reveal that they've known the most incriminating things about Trump, but they only tell us about it now? I mean, imagine if Paul Revere had this attitude. Are the British coming? Find out by pre-ordering my book on Amazon. So, Trump purposefully obscuring the threat of COVID-19 was the major revelation that took over the news today. But remember, Bob Woodward interviewed Trump 18 times for this book. And he recorded Trump on tape talking about plenty of other subjects too, like racism. And believe it or not, it turns out that in private, Trump is a lot more aware of racism than he acts like in real life.
Do you think there is systematic or institutional racism in this country?
Well, I think there is everywhere. I think probably less here than most places, or less here than many places.
Okay, but is it here in a way that it has an impact on people's lives?
I think it is, and it's unfortunate, but I think it is.
Whoa. Somebody finally got around to watching Get Out. It really is interesting how private Trump seems to know a lot more than public Trump. I mean, this whole time, I thought there were going to be secret tapes of Trump saying the N-word. Instead, we got secret tapes of him being an epidemiologist with a PhD in critical race theory. And you might be thinking, oh, but this is good news, Trevor. It means that Trump isn't as dumb as we thought. No, this is terrible news. Because you know what it shows? It shows you that Donald Trump is willfully misleading the public. It reminds you that he's a con man. He lies about coronavirus to protect his economy and his re-election. And he ignores systemic racism because he knows it exists, but he does it to protect his image with his base. And then when all the bad stories pile up, what does he do? He tries to drown them out with some crazy news announcement, like him saying that he's going to appoint Ted Cruz to the Supreme Court, which, to be honest, just sounds like a threat to the Supreme Court. So once again, we're reminded today that Donald Trump doesn't care about America. He cares about himself. He cares about his money, and he cares about 2/5 of his family. And that's it. In other news that's rocking LA, after years of hashtag #OscarsSoWhite, the Motion Picture Academy has announced a major rule change to hopefully make the Oscars hashtag so right.
The Oscars are making inclusion a requirement for Best Picture consideration. Starting in 2024, those movies must meet diversity requirements in 2 out of 4 production categories, widening opportunities for underrepresented groups. They include women, minorities, and people with cognitive or physical disabilities. Promoters of the initiative say the changes will better reflect the diversity of the movie-going audience. So this is encompassing the totality of the people that actually work on a film.
Oh, shit. From now on, movies can only be nominated for Best Picture if they meet certain diversity thresholds? Wherever Martin Scorsese is right now, he is shitting himself. He's probably calling DiCaprio, begging him to make a plan.
Come on, kid, you sure you can't play black? You can do anything, I know you can.
Personally, I think this opens up a bunch of opportunities. I hope that long-running franchises will just switch up the races of people and never address it. Like, how dope would it be if in the next Batman movie, he's just Jamaican?
Ayan ay bida Batman. Man. Wagwan. The Joker gonna get safe for that thing. What do you want to say for that? Them can't do that.
Now, you know what was funny, man, is as soon as this story came out, so many people read the headline and they just started panicking, bitching online. People were like, this is censorship. You can't force filmmakers to create whatever you want. I mean, how can you make a period piece with diversity? There were no black people back then. If you actually read the story before chiming in, people would have realized that, in fact, these new standards, which only take effect in 2024, are not that strict. For instance, a movie qualifies if it has just one lead role from an underrepresented group and 30% of the crew from an underrepresented group as well, right? Or even if it has just 30% diversity in the marketing department or an internship program for an underrepresented group. And by the way, they define underrepresented groups as Black, Asian, Hispanic, Indigenous people, women, the disabled community, or members of the LGBTQ community. So in other words, it's super easy to meet this criteria. Now, I know that some people think that this might be the end of the movie industry. But I don't know, guys. I think with the right casting, diversity can add an exciting new perspective to any film.
Did I miss anything?
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Von allem Anfang an! Es wurde ein ungeheurer Verrat geübt am deutschen Volke!
Bitch, you had this coming. Oh, what, y'all not gonna back me up? The Russians out in front of my house and y'all worried about not hurting this weirdo's feelings.
Das ist aus.
I was against this shit from the beginning. I told y'all, this dude is a clown. Franz, you don't remember that, Franz? You don't remember when I told you we shouldn't take orders from a dude with a little tiny broom for a mustache? No. Don't nobody want to listen to Roy. Y'all don't listen to me. Matter of fact, I'm starting to think y'all kind of racist. I'm getting a vibe. And look where that's got us. If I was you, I'd kill myself.
Bravo! Bravo!